Hello, welcome back to the AJ Review Show. Got a brilliant film for you this week. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this film to come out a long time. We've had a very long gap since the last film, 18 years since the last film. I'm of course talking about the much anticipated, I've looked forward to this, I hope you've looked forward to it. I'm talking about 28 Years Later. So, the film is an hour and 55 minutes long and is directed by Danny Boyle, who also did 28 Days Later, Trainspotting and Slumdog Millionaire. In the UK audience, he has got us in an absolute chokehold, and he does a great job with this. Written by Alex Garland, the two of them have worked on all of the 28-year franchise films in one respect or another, and he also did Warfare and Civil War. Like I said, the two have worked together throughout all of the projects in some regards. I think they were both producers on 28 Weeks Later, but they are very well versed in this universe that they've set up. So, cast is going to go straight away with the young lad, Alfie Williams, 14 years old. He's absolutely fantastic. He's been in A New Breed of Criminal and Dark Materials. Really good in this. Very impressive for a young man of his age to put in such a good performance. Aaron Taylor-Johnson, plays his dad in the film. He's been in Bullet Train, Nosferatu, and Avengers Age of Ultron, though he kind of gets screwed over in that film.
You didn't see that coming.
Jodie Comer, without a doubt, the best in the film. Killing Eve, the bike riders, and The Last Duel, I think puts in the best performance of the whole film. And the only person to contest her for that is Ralph Fiennes, Conclave, Schindler's List, and The Menu. Ralph doesn't miss a beat in this. He's absolutely fantastic. It's a really strong cast. You've also got Edwin Riding and Jack O'Connell, who you'll know from Sinners. So, the story continues from where we know. If you haven't watched anything to do with this franchise, this set of films, then I would suggest you do. But if you haven't, the world has been taken over by a plague or a virus called Rage. So this film is set 28 years later from the original events that happened in 2002. So the story follows a group of survivors who have found their way onto an island that is separated from the mainland by a long causeway, basically like a walk or a bridge that gets covered when the tide comes in. So they're completely secluded and they have like watchtowers around the outside. Anyway, the people that live on the island, everyone has like a job and a role and something to do, including this young lad who's 12 years old named Spike. So Spike is training to be a hunter like his dad, and when him and Jamie go out for their first adventure onto the mainland to hunt and kill, things don't go exactly as they thought, and new things get revealed that we haven't seen previously before in this series. So I want to get into the roles. Like I said, Jodie Comer is the best thing about the film outside Alfie Williams is fantastic, but she does a really great job. She portrays Spike's mum in the film, and she does a really good job. What she has to deal with in the film is very real and incredibly well acted. I think she's probably the strongest role in the film and is a great example of a well-written, strong female lead that isn't forced on you. It's just a really well-written, strong role. You've also got, like I said, Alfie Williams, 14-year-old, does a great job of carrying such a big franchise. Ralph Fiennes doesn't miss a beat. I saw him live in Macbeth, and he was absolutely fantastic in that. He is a really great actor, and to pick him for the role he is in this, which I'm not going to spoil, was a really great call. Now, in my opinion, the weakest link in the film, unfortunately, is Aaron Taylor-Johnson. His acting is good, his mannerisms, he's got the stature of a hunter, and he does do it really well. He's sort of very loud in the film and very aggressive. But unfortunately, I have noticed this in a few of the films, that the scripting for some characters is not that great. And for most of the film, I noticed that he's basically just stating the obvious, which is really distracting, actually. He'd just be like, oh, there's the zombies. Oh, this is happening, that's happening. He doesn't have a great deal of character depth because the script sort of holds him back. Acting-wise, he does a really good job, but it's just a shame that the script holds him back. So, positives, really positive. The story's really good. I was worried that they were going to go off on another, like, some huge tangent or go, it being so far in the future, they weren't going to make it realistic enough, or it was just going to be stupid. But the story's really good, and the characters they add are really worthy additions into the universe that has been really well established. The last film came out 18 years ago, which is absolutely 28 Weeks came out in 2007, which is just ridiculous. So we waited a really long time. So I was worried that they wouldn't actually do very well with setting up a new story in a new world, but they've done a great job. The world building is excellent. As you'll know if you've seen any of the other films, the world building in these is fantastic, and they've done a great job to continue that on, to drive on the story and not only expand what the humans are like, but also what the zombies are like, and everyone's grown in their own weird kind of way. Really creative camera work in it, killing shots and establishing shots, some great wide action stuff when they go to the mainland, but the kill shots, the way it sort of pans round like you're watching a video game, like a finish him kind of move, was just so creative, and it gives the action a lot more depth and made you feel like you were there more. So creatively fantastic. A lot of love gone into the film, and the camera work in it is really, really interesting. I love these films because they're not scared to make it ugly and scary, and they really make it ugly. Like I said, they really throw you into the action. The pacing is also really good. Doesn't dwell on anything too long, but like I said, it does a really good job of setting the universe up and showing you how things have evolved, where we are now, and basically how these humans have managed to survive this long. A lot of attention to detail. If you look really closely in some of the scenes, there's some good opportunities for a little laugh or a titter. Like little things that have just a lot of attention to detail in it that I really appreciated. Boyle and Garland that just do such a great job of making a gripping world and an interesting world that you want to know more about. People have been waiting for this film for such a long time, and it pays homage, it pays testament to how good these two are at making something that people really do want to watch. The emotion of the film was really well placed, especially between Spike's character and Jodie Comer. Really, really good placements, and it's not overcooked, but the emotion, and they explore relationships a lot more in this film as well, and it's really well placed. It's not too overpowering, but it is really well placed, and it gives a little bit more depth, like actually all the films do, but the relationships go really gone into a lot more in this, and the introduction of what the zombies are doing now, and just the way they've expanded the world, what's happened with rage and things like that, just really make it like they've just put so much thought into the film, and I really, really loved it. Okay, there are a few downsides, and this does reflect the score that I've given. The film, in my opinion, is almost too pretty at times. 28 Days and 28 Weeks are a lot grittier, lower quality. It's not as pretty as this, and I felt like it was missing the sort of gritty horror scariness that the originals had. It's almost a little bit too well polished at times. Like the camera work is a little bit too well polished. It looks great, but for the gritty nature that this world is set up in, I wanted that grit. I would also say, unfortunately, that the story for me was not 28 Days Later enough. Though the story is great and it's lovely, but the final act in the film, where things usually are horrible, everyone's getting killed and torn apart, was just sort of a look at life and death and love, and was very philosophical, and I felt was not only out of place with the film but the series as a whole. I needed more zombie. This is probably the most disappointing thing about the whole film. The soundtrack, the famous 28 Days Later soundtrack, is not used and is completely replaced with the Kipling poem. While the Kipling poem had worked fantastically for the trailers and is really well used, they're talking of the trudging and the miles and everything like that, but the soundtrack is what is so iconic with the film, and I was really disappointed that they didn't use it. I would also say that the film, because of the sort of not odd, it's good, but just odd within the tone of the film, the final act, I found that tonally the film was a bit odd. The two prior films set up this really nasty world, and 70% of the film does that as well, but then they just sort of give it up for quite a heartwarming, not nice, but too philosophical ending. While it was good, it just felt out of place, and honestly there are barely any zombies in the final act, which just really annoyed me. It's not bad, and there is still a new theme, but it just felt too out of place for me. I really hope they choose to not do another film, but I am worried that they are. All the films sort of tee up for something else, and this one does as well to some degree. I don't know, maybe they're going to cut back and do 28 months later to see the gap between. This should have been 28 months later, I think, and then they could have done 28 years if they're going to do another one, but maybe they'll have a flashback. But every time you see a character, it seems to set up for a new story or a new line, and my next problem with it was that it brings up a lot of questions that it actually doesn't give you answers to, which is really, really annoying. At the end of all the films, you have questions you think it's going to lead on, and it doesn't. And I'm afraid this film does the same, which obviously, it leaves you a lot of creativity. You can go away and think about it on your own. But with a film that feels like it was going to be the penultimate, I wanted answers to the questions that I just didn't get. It didn't feel as scary or harrowing as the first two. Like I said, the first two are just brutal the whole time, and I just needed more zombie, I needed more violence, and it felt like it just didn't deliver on that. And I suppose, the ending is supposed to represent that there are different ways that people have lived their lives, and it tonally is very different. It's enjoyable, and I liked it a lot, but it's supposed to reflect something that just made it feel a bit sort of shoehorned in. I didn't really care for the final scene. It was interesting, but I don't know, maybe it shouldn't have been the final scene, it should have been earlier on in the film, because to end on the note that it did, though powerful and poignant and interesting, just didn't feel right. It didn't give me the satisfaction that I was looking for. So my ranking for the films would be 28 Days, 28 Years, then 28 Weeks. I only watched 28 Weeks a little while ago, but the weird thing is I would say that 28 Days and 28 Weeks tonally are the most similar, but 28 Days is definitely the best, followed by 28 Years. I didn't love 28 Weeks, but 28 Years feels the most out of place, but the quality of it and the story is far better than 28 Weeks. I know that was a lot of me saying the number 28, I'm sorry. I would say the film is good, not great. Amazing world building, good story. The cast is fantastic, but tonally it was a bit all over the place and I needed a little bit more oomph. I'm going to give this film 3 stars, and that is 28 Years Later. Thank you so much for watching another episode. I have waited a long time to see this. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and that's been the AJ Reviews Show. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed watching that episode. If you could just drop me a subscribe down below, leave a like and a comment, that'd be really helpful. You can now find me on Instagram, TikTok and Letterboxd, all at AJ Reviews 101, and click to watch this video up here that YouTube recommended. Enjoy.